And the recent appointment of the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Mr. Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, MFR, as the chairperson of the World Customs Organization Council is both historic and timely, and the first Nigerian to assume that position. His emergence signals a growing recognition of Nigeria's strategic importance in global trade and customs administration. It also underscores the increasing competence of Nigerian technocrats on the world stage. Of course, there's a whole lot of expectation also laid on his shoulder with this new position. Let's delve into this and some of the related issues with the Principal Consultant and Chief Executive Officer of International Trade Advisory Services Limited. He's also the Vice Chairman of Guild of Maritime Editors, Mr. Okebeke. Mr. Ibeke, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm sure the celebration mood is still on. The first time a Nigerian would head the World Customs Council, but expectations are also following that celebration.
Yes, the celebration is still on because of the historical milestone achieved by Nigeria Customs Service. And it was glorious because that day, the flag, Nigerian flag, was hoisted up in the headquarters of World Customs Organizations. Then the expectations that are there, that achievement didn't come easy. The Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, was a seasoned officer. He has contributed a lot in WCO proceedings and procedures right from the past. He has been working there, he has been representing Nigeria there, and it is that knowledge, the knowledge of the workings of WCO, the knowledge of that system, the knowledge of custom procedures, the knowledge of the tools, of all tools that custom utilizes to carry out their duties. It is that knowledge that gave him, that made his colleagues to elect him as the chairman of that world body.
So you seem to be saying that it is the confidence that the council has on the person that made them give him this position.
Yes, because it is not rotation, it is not like the team was ceded to Nigeria on rotation basis, no. It is the confidence they have in him. And because when he became CG, he deployed that knowledge he acquired over the years to make the Nigerian Customs Service to be better the way it is today. Yeah.
So now his responsibility goes beyond Nigeria because there are 186 member nations.
186 member nations.
And he has to be able to balance it all, to be perceived, you know, as a leader that's objective and not tilting to any way. That cannot be easy, especially being from Nigeria.
That issue will not come up because the function of that organization is to set out modalities according to World Trade Organizations and changing business and trade climate, global climate, to set out procedures and help custom administrations to adopt global trade practices in facilitating trade in their respective countries. The advantage it will accord Nigeria is to exploit all the tools available in WCO to improve on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic agenda. So there won't be a case of partiality or using it to enhance Nigerian system at the disadvantage of others. So,
But I'm sure there are some challenges that he would have to face.
Yeah. The challenges he has to face is the normal challenges the WCO chairpersons has been facing. The global trade complexities, because it changes every day, like changing tariffs by different countries, like Trump is slamming tariffs on other countries and other countries are retaliating. So his function, the challenge is to find a way and work around those tariffs and to provide leadership and tools for different customer administrations to apply in order to confront those changing business environments. Yes.
But what does the implication of having a Nigerian there?
Yeah.
Does it change anything for us as a country?
Yeah, it will change, apart from boosting the image of Nigeria, apart from signifying that the confidence of the world is having in Nigeria as a nation is increasing. Because he will now be on the leader, he will make Nigeria to exploit the opportunities, the benefits of belonging to such world organizations.
And Nigerians or Nigerian government should also have roles to play to help him succeed and shine.
Yes, because what he needs is encouragement. What he needs is backing of the presidency. The backing of the presidency.
What would the backing of a presidency look like?
Like, as it is now, there are challenges facing Nigerian customs organizations. There's funding challenges. Because with the
There's also infrastructure.
And infrastructure.
I know Odogu has some complaints now.
I am coming there. I am coming there.
Yeah.
You see, Nigerian Customs Management Act 2023, when it was passed, it removed custom getting their 7% cost of collection, because that's what they used to run the operations. Then, and replaced it with 4% levy, which they call 4% on FOB. And they wanted to enforce, to start collecting that 4%. Then the organized private sector reacted negatively and shouted and alleged about the increase in cost of doing business. And the custom that is a listening organization have to stop. So it is now a quagmire, because the law says don't collect 7% cost of collection again. Carry out your operations with that 4% FOB. And that 4% FOB was primarily put there for custom modernization project. That bill Odogu we are talking about is a product of custom modernization project. And they have organizations. There is a company that entered contract with the agreement with federal government to provide those IT infrastructures. That bill Odogu maybe is getting hitches. It's not that as normal. It's hitches and not necessarily problem. But it's a challenge that is not insurmountable. Let me go back to that funding. The 4% FOB is supposed to be used by customs to run the operations and pay those service providers that made bill Odogu to be functional. Maybe they're defaulting in that payment. Maybe I'm not in a position to say that. Then there's 1% comprehensive import supervision scheme, which they are still collecting, which is illegal. That's, they collect 1%, what they call comprehensive import supervision scheme. That levy was put in place when there was pre-shipment destination inspection. It's from that fund that the pre-shipment inspections were paid. But now we don't have pre-shipment inspections. So that levy, that charges, has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. Because it is what the organized private sector are agitating about. It is what they are complaining. You cannot take 1% from us and also take 4. Because that 1% is no longer relevant. In fact, it is illegal. Custom is breaching the Custom Act by still collecting that 1% and by not collecting the 4% FOB. So that is the funding challenges they're having. Then I talk about presidential
infrastructure.
The infrastructure. Well, we are Nigerians. We know the infrastructure deficiencies in our system. Power, then road, dilapidated ports, because our ports are dilapidated. Then lack of cargo handling equipment, adequate cargo handling equipment in the ports. Because all these factors affect custom function and trade facilitation. So that's the infrastructure that the government have to find a way and improve on them. Yes.
And then you were going to talk about policies also? I think you wanted to mention something like that.
The policy, the policy. The policy inconsistency. And there are some fiscal policies that changes all the time.
The rate is one thing that we don't seem to understand. Even it's a bit more stable now.
Yeah.
The exchange rate has been
The exchange rate is there. The exchange rate is there, and it makes the organizations not to plan, because as you are planning, it changes. As you are planning, it changes. Then, but I mentioned government backing for custom to function properly. Nigeria is a country where importers always take advantage of the system. Because at times they will say, custom is not working, they're delaying cargo clearance, they're doing this. But they're what they call compliance. The compliance level of importers in Nigeria is very, very low. And in a bid for customs to protect the economy, because their main function is it's not even only to collect revenue, they're supposed to protect the economy, protect the health and lives of Nigerians, then contribute in securing the nation, then protect our wildlife through enforcement of environmental conservation laws. So in a bid to do that, there seems to be complaint because about delay in cargo clearance. But they have to do that because the compliance level is very, very low. You'll be shocked.
Is it the lack of equipment that causes the delay?
It is
because I want to believe if we have high-tech equipment, then things could be done faster and more efficiently.
It is not. Yes, you are correct. But it's not all about high-tech. It's about human factor. Let me give you an example. We have import prohibition list, which government put in place to protect the local economy. We have tariffs government has put in place to protect local manufacturers, because fiscal policies is all about protecting local manufacturers to boost local production. But the issue is that people continue to breach it. They continue to breach it. So high-tech plays a role where compliance is high. It is where compliance is high. Because high-tech will not stop smugglers. It has to be physical. If you go to the ports, if there is 100 containers lined up for delivery, up to 60 of them have one breach or the other. So the issue is that we have to decide whether we want to facilitate legitimate trade or illegitimate trade. Because we have to define that. Because there is legitimate trade, there is illegitimate trade. Where 60% of the cargoes entering Nigeria is in breach of one fiscal policy or the other. If custom decide because of the pressure, the people that indulging in those things are mounting on them through government, through making noise, then we are in trouble. Because, number one, our lives is threatened. Like, for example, the other day they seized 28 containers of cloned medications. That's fake pharmaceuticals. If custom did not conduct 100% examination and rely on high-tech, those 28 containers would have entered Nigeria. And you know the health implication. So while while pressurizing custom to facilitate trade, we should also know that there is a difference between illegal trade facilitation and legitimate trade facilitation. Then, let me go back to that FOB. The organized private sector, led by Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, objected collection. They kicked against collection of that 4%. But there is something that the man did not get right. You know, that 4% was embedded in Nigerian Management Custom Act. And that bill, that act before its passage, was in National Assembly for up to 4 years. The National Assembly conducted more than 10 public hearings on that bill. So, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and the organized private sector had all the time in the whole world to object to that levy being embedded in that act. They had the time to go to the National Assembly to oppose it. They have the clout, they have the reach to influence its removal from the bill. But it was passed. It is a law. So that Customs suspended it has not made it illegitimate. It is in the act. So it is a law. So Customs have to, in fact, Customs is breaching the law by not collecting that money.
By not collecting.
Yes. There are other costs, because we are talking about cost of doing business in the ports. There are a lot of charges government is supposed to be looking into. There is 7% port development levy. That 7% was for NPA, Nigerian Port Authority, to maintain their equipment and the equipment replacement. But for the past 10 years, they concessioned out port operations to private people, to terminal operators. Therefore, NPA does not have equipment again to maintain and replace. So that 7% should be removed, because it is no longer relevant.
But we still didn't NPA to get equipment and replace, upgrade the ones they have and replace?
Now, because they are no longer doing cargo operations, which they have concession cargo operations to private operators, to terminal operators. So NPA does not.
They don't require that.
They don't require that. Okay. So apart from 2%, because 2% of that 7% is for Nigerian Shippers Council operations. So that 7% has to be reduced to 2%. Because NPA does not require that fund again. So in the last 10 years, what is happening to that fund, nobody knows. Then that 1% comprehensive import supervision scheme has to be scrapped also, because it is illegal now. Because the pre-shipment inspection of the operators they use that money to pay, that fund to pay, they are no longer there. Customs took over their duties in the last 10 years. So that money that is being collected, that levy, I don't know what.
So it seems there's a lot that needs to be explored.
A lot.
And unraveled.
A lot of it.
Around customs.
Around customs. Not only around customs, around operators in maritime industry. Because customs is the lead agency, all the faults are heaped on them.
And of course, all of this, is transferred to the importers, to the consumers at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
And then we say it's inflation. So all of this feed into it.
It is because of time. I would have listed all the levies and charges.
Maybe we'll bring you for another time to have that conversation. I am even looking forward to it. But thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time. And once again, congratulations
to
the CCG. And we obviously wish him the very best, so that Nigeria's name will be shining.
Yes.
I missed all of this. Mr. Okey Beke, Principal Consultant and Chief Executive Officer of International Trade Advisory Services Limited. He is also the Vice Chairman of the Guild of Maritime Editors. It's a pity I'm not a maritime editor. Thank you so much for
Thank
being a
you.
part of the
Thank
program.
You.